G'day guys, it's Ryan here. I'm here with Stephen.
Hey guys.
And welcome to the ninth Macrocosm podcast. That's the ninth one if you missed that because I fucked up. Today we're going to review and talk about the movie Edge of Tomorrow. And after that we'll talk about the topic of paradoxes. And yeah, that sounds fun. Can't wait for that.
Yeah.
But first we'll do the Edge of Tomorrow synopsis. Let's get into that. So, a soldier named William or Bill Cage, which is Tom Cruise's character, is fighting against an alien invasion, but he gets to relive the same day over and over again, and the day restarts every time that he dies. Which, if I had never seen this movie and I'd read that, I would be watching it that night. You know what I mean? Like that's like a what? How? Okay.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Already there's mystery and intrigue, you know?
Yeah. And also, I'll just mention quickly, we got Emily Blunt's character is Rita.
Yep.
Or the, what was it? The mechanical bitch or something? What did they call her? Something, something along those lines. Full metal bitch or something, wasn't it? Yeah, something like that, but yeah.
And of course, we got Tom Cruise as Major William Cage, or they call him Bill, I think.
Yeah. I just called him Soldier, but yeah, they call him Bill a lot.
So well, he wasn't.
Cage.
He was a major to start with, but then he wasn't.
What are they demoted him or something? Because he was in the public eye.
They called him as a deserter or whatever.
All because he refused to go to battle, which is fair enough. I mean, you signed up for war. That was an option. You know, you got to consider
and
it.
So we also have aliens, which are called mimics.
Oh, that's what they call them, mimics. Yeah. Which let's just start off with that. Like the alien movement in this movie was sick, wasn't it?
Yeah,
like the way that they would just flow
unnatural,
and like it looked so foreign.
Yeah.
Exactly, unnatural. Yeah.
Almost like octopuses look like, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of like an octopus.
Like picture an octopus squeezing through a hole the size of a penny, and you know how they get all like contracted and contorted. Yeah, it's like fucking they're crazy. They are aliens.
They do say the closest things to aliens are octopuses. Like that is the most strangest thing you'll ever see.
Well, if we had never encountered them as a human race, and then all of a sudden they were just swimming around the ocean, we'd be like, we've been invaded. Like, yeah, we have.
They're highly intelligent and they can change fucking colour.
That's I know. Right?
And not just colour, but the actual the texture. The lumps and bumps
they can make them look like a coral reef, just like through the pushing little bits of stuff out of their skin. Like, what are they pushing at? Is it like a muscle that's contorted? You know, like how? They are aliens. Yep, they're aliens.
You have to watch that documentary. I think you've got it in your list.
Oh, my octopus teacher or something.
That's quite interesting.
Yep. All right, I'm gonna watch it. I'll watch it. I'll get it tonight.
All right, so
back to the movie.
So we'll talk about the intro. I reckon that was that was pretty good. They had like a news report. Meteor hits the Earth or something, bringing the aliens, the mimics. So the humans were losing, weren't they?
Yeah, they were that, which is why he was called into battle, which he was deserved.
So they were losing, and then they made super soldiers. This is all in the intro still. Yeah. So they made these suits which they use in the movie, which are pretty cool. And then that's when there was a battle with Rita, or they called her the Angel of Verdun.
That's right.
She won a battle in Verdun, I guess.
And why did she win that battle? Do we want to get into that now?
Well, I mean, they let her, didn't they?
Yeah.
Aliens let her win.
And it was a kind of they let her win, but at first she thought it was like, you know, because she was with the powers.
She had the power.
I guess you can't really call it a power, but you know, the ability, the thing where she resets the day after every time of dying, kind of, and being able to keep the knowledge of that.
Yeah, of every time you've relived.
And then when it happened more and more, eventually they would start getting these visions, and she trusted and thought that she was getting some knowledge or whatever, but it turns out they were feeding her the knowledge.
Yeah, like a trap, like
essentially.
Come to this location. This is
and
where
they thought And like you said, they thought they'd done something good by winning Verdun or Verdun, whatever you call it. But it turns out they kind of wanted them to.
Yeah. I guess so they could take her power off her or...
Somehow. Yeah, it must have been, that must have been the sacrifice.
They didn't really...
Lose that and get
they didn't really explain how she lost her power. Well, they did. She had to get a blood transfusion.
It was a blood transfusion, yeah. She didn't actually die properly, so and she knew that it was gone.
And I was thinking, because they said the news report, they're like, oh, this rookie kills hundreds on her first day. I'm like, well, first day for us, for our perspective.
You're right.
Not from everyone else's, it's the first day. But
why is it a rookie? And so
she must have been a rookie.
Yeah. And just happened to have killed him at one of the big ones, the Alpha, thank you. The Alpha, I was like, fuck. Yeah, the Alpha, because like he did, how he killed it, and the blood dripped on him and it melted his eyes. And what a sick scene as well, where it's like, you know, it's dropping down on him and he's like, like screaming and shit, and his eyes and skin's just melting away. But yeah, the blood from the Alpha mimic, that caused him to then have the ability. So she obviously went through something similar. But why is it, I wonder why they're both, you know, the rookies thrown into battle, their first fight.
I guess they're going to start somewhere.
They both. Yeah.
But the coincidences, I know, yeah,
it is, yeah. I mean, maybe they chose that on purpose to make you think like, oh, yeah, because he's like the newer version of her.
I didn't think of that, but you're right. Yeah. So I like to... they do that a lot in like science fiction movies, is the whole news report at the start, you know? That seems to be a lot, even in zombie movies.
To help us figure things out. It's a quick flash of information. Here's what you need to know to get through this movie.
I feel like it's used a lot though. I don't know how you make it unique, but I mean, yeah.
I guess, isn't it like, it's once someone's kind of done it, now everyone starts using it and like, you know, watering it down and diluting it.
We watched a movie last night and they did a similar thing, but it was going on for so long. I'm like, yeah, we get it. We get it. That happened. We get it. Move on. Yeah. Start the story.
Yeah.
Because they were over-explaining it. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's it.
Just patting you on the head, fucking feeding you with one of those, you know, here comes the airplane.
That was exactly trying to just force feed you. This was
obviously, some can do it great.
And this is an older movie. What year was this?
You know what? I just thought of a good way, 2014. Yeah. But a nice way of doing it, which is quite individual to the movie, is when Shaun of the Dead, you know how they're clicking through the channels and the news reporters, like that's doing something different with that thing, you know what I mean? So I'm not saying they should have done this in this movie or the movie that you're talking about. That was you know, they kind of force fed you, but still
it was about like road rage and stuff, and they kept showing different examples of road rage. I'm like, yeah, we get it, road rage, we know.
Yeah, we understand.
We know what the word explains it all. So when I liked it when they started to introduce the characters. So they introduce,
Rita.
I mean, at the start you got, no, not Rita yet, but they've got, I was talking about the Major.
Oh, but I thought you meant in that thing where it's like the Angel of Verdun or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't really give her a name, but they called her that title. So we knew there was like this badass.
What's the word? Badass.
I can't say. I'm like badass, badass. Yeah.
Okay, so she's a badass.
Just say a word multiple times and it sounds wrong, no matter what the word is.
I know. So you got the general, which is like the boss of, I guess, the whole army, and you got Major William, Tom Cruise, and he's in his office.
Oh, that's
right. And the general's like, we're going to send you to the front line. And he's like, what? She's like, no, I don't do this. I've got my whole life avoiding this.
And he was also like, and I think it's best that I stick to what I do and you stick to what you do kind of thing. But he's getting an order.
And I'm thinking, he's not getting out of this one. And then he tries to blackmail him. Remember
I know. What a silly option.
And then they arrest him for a deserter. And then he ends up there anyway, which is quite funny.
Well, and then like when he gets there, he's on the.
Yeah, he's lying on
For some reason, I first thought it was bloody an aircraft carrier, but he's not. He's in an army base.
Barracks, yeah.
Yeah, barracks. Yeah, and again, he has that black dude's fucking screaming at him, get up, and then the sergeant comes over.
Yeah.
And he fucking like just the first feeling, just this first run through. Not talking about when they come back and relive it.
Yeah.
All I thought was like this cunt spewing his God and country bullshit. Just shut the fuck up. And he's like, there's nothing like losing your rookiness on battle or something. You know, like he's glorifying it so much. Like
this is an honor. This is an honor, and
I know, right? But then he also goes to think like to bring God into it. Like, what? Do you think God would be happy with you murder? Like, what the fuck?
I don't
like,
get
you're
that.
in war.
Why do they always do that? Americans always do this. They always bring God into war. Like, I don't think God wanted that.
Oh,
if
or at least.
Real.
Well, but then again, if God was real, he does want it because he's letting it happen. Like, how does it work? You know? Yeah, exactly. It is a paradox because then, like, you got the if he can lift that's essentially the same. If he can create a rock that he can't lift, it's like, well, he can't. He could, you know, like that, it's just it doesn't work.
Oh shit!
I guess that everyone has those contradictions in their own mind. So.
And then they show us Rita at some stage, and I liked how they made her look like such a badass. Like she doesn't give a shit about anyone else. Like when she walks out the door at the start to go to battle, the guy's like saying something like he's praising her or whatever. And he just like
he calls her the bitch. He calls her here comes the full metal bitch or something like that, doesn't he?
He says he's the full metal, and then she punches him.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So you can see she's such not a nice person. Obviously, because she's seen some shit.
But I think also they're trying to like make you think like, no, this is not just like some pritsy girl, you know, this is not just some princess who we've put in there after, like we want her to look like a grunty, she can take a punch girl, like she's a battler, you know?
And for us, because we've seen it before, like I don't know about you, but I knew that she was already had the power before. Did you know at the start? Were you aware of that, or? Well, because I've seen it, but I'm trying to think if because right now I'm considering how that's why she's so cocky now, because she's had all that experience, but that's why she's also training so hard, because she knows she can't die again, you know, like. So, okay. And I liked how
I'm not sure if I was thinking that when I was rewatching it, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
So anyway, on that though, they showed you that she uses a sword instead of guns.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's probably because after all the time she's reset the day, she knows that's what's most effective. Because she can rely on that.
You need a melee weapon.
I mean,
you need something that.
She doesn't rely on that only.
She's thinking about when she runs out of bullets.
Exactly.
That's what she.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And did you notice? I think the sword is like a broken helicopter blade. I reckon. Do you think? I reckon that's what it looked like. Like
it does have that look, but it kind of also just has that, you know, oversized fucking Final Fantasy style bloody crazy sword that's bigger than the person holding it. You know, it has that style of it.
And it probably is because it is based on the Japanese comic or manga graphic novel.
Whatever word.
Yeah, whatever word you want to call that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a comic but longer. And I'm thinking, well, she's learnt that she needs a sword because she's died a lot of times from obviously running out of bullets.
Why didn't she tell Tom Cruise? Was it Cage? Why did she? Yeah, why wasn't that more crucial? Why wasn't that a big scene? Like, train with the sword as well as the guns.
Yeah, don't know. I guess because they wanted to keep her unique.
Yeah, keep her as the sword wielding badass.
And then there's more like character building on Major William. So I thought there's a couple of funny bits here. So they're walking off to battle, right? And he's walking towards the helicopters, and he sees it, and he's like, "Fuck this!" And
he's like, "Nope."
And he just walks the other way. He doesn't even know how to walk properly. because he's just got in this suit. He's got no idea how to use it.
They've just whacked him in it, yeah,
and they haven't even told him how to turn the safety off. And then he just walks the other way, and the other guy grabs him. He's like, no, you're going this way.
Because they put them in charge of his whereabouts to make sure he doesn't. Yeah.
And then again, when he first day on the battlefield, and he's got no idea what to do, doesn't even know how to shoot the gun. The fucking suit's in Japanese, so he doesn't even know how to read it. And then he ends up seeing Rita fighting the first time he sees her. And then he sees her, and she sees him as well. And it's almost like she knows him. Like she looks at him like she knows something, you know?
Like,
she's like stunned.
Like she's seeing herself in him when she was like from months back. Like he's so like, what's going on? What? Like maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. And then he sees his face, and then he sees she gets killed, and he sees her get killed, and his face is so horrified.
Yeah, fucking.
And then he tries. So then he tries to run off the battlefield again. He tries to leave.
He's like, leave where though?
Yeah,
everywhere's fucked.
He's gone back to the beach, and the general's like, you're going the wrong way. I thought that was so funny.
Yeah. Could you? Isn't that a weird thing? Like, just not on the topic of the movie, but like how, you know, he got more attached to seeing the woman being killed because he's just seen at least 30 odd people die, but he's really connected to this one woman. Now, I'm not sure if that's like
I think what's happened
is that meant to be for the movie?
I think the first time though, because he's gone, she's the angel of the gun. She's like the badass. And then
I'm not considering that he's thinking of like, oh, that's the angel of the dawn. Obviously.
And so she just died.
Yeah.
And he's thinking, if she just died, we're all fucked.
I'm fucked.
You know?
Yeah,
I think that's what happened there.
No, I could see that. That makes more sense. Yeah. No, you're right. Because you wouldn't be thinking of, fucking hell. And you're like, oh, here's this hero that like won the last battle for us, and now she's dropped.
She's dead. Not much from nothing. And then that's when he gets, obviously, it was pretty cool how he like sacrifices himself, because the whole team's like getting murdered by the creatures.
The mimic,
And then he grabs the claymore, and obviously that kills him, doesn't it? The blast.
I thought, I was like, that's the coolest, that's a smart thing.
Yeah, that's
I
smart.
can't believe he thought of that, to grab the claymore and hold it against his chest so it's facing away so that when the thing landed on him, it is going to blow up away from, I mean, it's going to kill him anyway, but it's going to like, the main of the damage is, that's like, it's such a very smart thing to do. Or even it's smart for the writers to have put that in.
I mean, technically he's a trained soldier. He's not a rookie. He's supposed to know what to do. He's just never been in battle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, so he must have gone through the training at least.
Yeah, I mean, he's major after all. That's quite a high rank, so I don't know how he got there without any battle experience, but...
Yeah, it doesn't seem quite right. It's like he slipped through a loophole or something.
He probably did. Just in path of least resistance. Or maybe not. Maybe the path of most resistance to avoid those things.
Well, yeah, I was about to say doing it whatever he can to just not do the thing that he needs to do.
And this is what causes him to get his power, because he got covered in the blood of the alpha.
Yeah.
That he just blew up. And...
Which they... Because going forward to where he's meeting... Like, he's now talked to Rita, but he's meeting her friend, the scientist.
Yeah.
And they already knew that it was the blood that dripped in. It's like, so why haven't they gone out and tried to do it again? You know,
it's probably a bit dangerous to go near an alpha.
Oh, fucking oath it'd be, but I know. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, absolutely. The conditions have to be just right for things to happen.
And so he gets some blood on him, and the side. How did they know? Like, how do you think they worked out it was the blood though?
The same thing must have happened to Rita, but obviously not the exact same thing with like a claymore or whatever, but somehow she got the blood.
Way, maybe,
Yeah. But also the other thing, she's been reliving, so like go back to the story was untold, but she would have been reliving it and thinking about it and trying to contemplate what happened to herself. So I'm sure she would have been like, no, the first time that I died before I woke up, this is what happened. And then she would have heard his story and gone like, yeah, no, that's why.
But also the scientist was studying them separate to her. So
yeah,
maybe
he had
he
his
was
own.
onto something himself. But also, so once the Major kills the first Alpha, the day resets. Why is the Alpha not there the next day? Oh, no, because the Alpha kept its memories. It just didn't go back there for the second day. It didn't know. It didn't realize his blood had gotten on him.
So does the Alpha keep its memories, like, so that...
The Omega keeps the memories.
Sorry, yeah, all right, the Omega keeps the memories, right? But, so does it, even when it's not in control of the day resetting?
Well, aren't they both, or... Do you think
so somehow now that the blood dripped into him, now he's connected to the Omega.
He's like one of the
so
Alphas.
Now they're both experiencing it. Yeah, okay.
And that Omega's smart enough to implant false memories,
or at least show them only what the Omega wants them to see. Yeah.
But I thought this was funny, right? So obviously the Major decides he wants to save everyone. So you got a whole like montage of him. The guy on the beach getting crushed.
We fucking made it! We made it!
And then he gets crushed like 3 times. It took him to work out how to save him.
That little bit quicker.
Well, to save him without getting himself killed. And then there's one scene where he's running towards where what's her name? Rita is. And then he just gets hit by a truck. Because running across the battlefield, this truck just cleans him up. And then it cuts to him doing it again, but this time he makes it. It's so funny.
I think it was a plane, but yeah.
Oh yeah, a big something.
Something like that. Yeah, no, I like how it shows his, like, those cut scenes of him getting just that little bit quicker and retaining a bit more knowledge.
Or doing that move slightly different, or...
Yeah.
And then so the first time he gets to Rita, he saves her, and he dies and gets like a blast hole through.
Yes.
And that was so funny because she then proceeds to steal all his stuff.
All his ammo and batteries or whatever. And he's like, did you just steal my battery pack?
She's like looting him. I just thought that was so funny. And again, showing who she is, you know?
Exactly how zero fucks she has. She's like, no, I need to survive. I'm going to take this battery, fucking oath. What would you do? What would you do if you're like similar situation, not the day restarting, but like you've been thrust into battle? Do you find a hole and hide and shit yourself, or like what the fucking? Because there's fight, flight, or freeze, and I don't know if I'd be able to fly away. I think I'd freeze.
It would depend if being there was your own choice or not. It would depend why are you there.
Yeah, because there's a big difference feeling if you're going like, hoorah, I'm going to protect my country, fuck yeah.
So I'm just scared, don't want to do anything.
Holy shit, why did they put me here? I don't belong here. This is not my capabilities.
If I hadn't chosen to be there, I don't actually know. Would I guess I would defend myself. I don't know. I guess I would hide and defend myself. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess try and throw, like... You just find a place to try and survive as long as possible.
Yeah, but if I'd chosen to be there, I would be fighting, I guess.
Yeah, you'd be and then you'd die really quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Short life.
In this situation specifically, yeah.
And so, he obviously doesn't save her because he needs to save her and himself. So then he tries to tell everyone, doesn't he? He's like,
yeah, I know, right? The second time through, he's like, guys.
And I think what happened there, because remember earlier, the gambling, they had cards.
Yeah.
And I thought, as soon as I saw it the first time, I'm like, he's going to stop them getting caught out next time. And like
to get them on his side. Exactly,
so
to gain their trust.
I assume he did that then when he was telling everyone what happened. Pretty sure that's when he did it, and he covered it up and he's getting all confident.
He like winked at them, yeah.
And then he finally saves Rita, and she realizes what's happening, doesn't she?
Yeah, and she says, "Come find me when you wake up."
And then
come find me when you wake up.
And the plane blows up. That was cool. And now, because he's done this, he's got so much confidence, right? And this is the scene that I found absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
My note is fucking hilarious. That's what I wrote. So he's doing the PT and he's running around with everyone, the training.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
He gets made to do push-ups so that he can get away. So he tries to roll onto the truck but he rolls too far or something, or not far enough, and he gets run over, and it's so funny.
Bloody pops like a tube of toothpaste.
And you hear him scream like a girl. Just like, ah! And then he just rolls.
And you see the sergeant go up and go, oh, why did he try and do that or something? You know what I mean? Like, oh, come on, why did he bother?
Because he was so confident and he thought he was going to do it. So confident and then just dead. So funny.
What, like on that, right, what would be worse for you, right? Having to go through this alien invasion or having the memory of knowing exactly what it's like, knowing you're about to walk into a fucking an absolute hell fight. It's not going to win. It's what's worse? You know what I mean? Like living through it for the first time, being able to take things as they come, you know, or knowing that it's all worthless and pointless. You know, because you've already relived it 20 times or whatever. So, like, in that case where he rolled under, he's like, he had to gain the courage, because we're assuming this is the first time he's tried it.
Yeah.
He has to gain the courage to go, all right, well, even if this fails, I'm going to die and come back, but I'm still going to die if I fail.
I don't think he thought he was going to die, though, but yeah.
But you have to know that that's like, all right, so if I fail, I'll die, I'll have to relive this again, but I still will feel the pain. I will have died.
And also, you have to explain to the major or the sergeant every time. Wouldn't you get fed up of explaining the same thing over and over again, you know? It's like, oh, here we go again now. I have to explain it. But if you don't do it the right way, he won't believe you. Or
exactly. So you've got to get it down packed. You've got to become an actor.
You've got to believe it every time.
Yeah.
How
many? If you had to guess, how many times did he restart?
Hundreds.
No, but like put a number on it. Are you like because if I were to put it anywhere, I'm guessing like it's got to be around the 500 mark.
500 to 800, somewhere in there.
Because. Like, I mean, probably if we counted them all up individually through the movie, we probably would have only seen maybe 30 to 70 like actual clips of. But we've got to assume that he made it to that hut where he served her coffee that many times.
Because they didn't show us that. Yeah, exactly.
Because he'd never made it past there, which is why he's like, you know, like, God damn it, the amount of memories that are in his mind, because like. Oh, yeah.
Which memory do you remember? Was it yesterday's or last week's? Or
am I remembering the instructions from 2 resets ago or the instructions from last reset, which will get me further?
Blur, wouldn't it? It'll just become I guess it would become muscle memory too.
Because it's like, you remember that movie Bandersnatch? No, it's not. It's brain memory.
Brain only.
But you remember the movie Bandersnatch? You know, there's all those different routes that you can take. And then eventually you want to get through all of them, like I did anyway. I watched it that many times just to make sure I took every route possible.
Yeah, okay. But you still didn't.
But eventually it gets so convoluted you can't actually remember everything. You can't, you'd have to actually jot it down and write it down to be able to not lose track.
Timeline and people did that.
But this guy can't do that because
he can't write anything down. It won't be
exactly, because he's not going to take that back. You know, there's no way of. Yeah, it's all memory, and that would be fucking hard. My memory's shocking. Like, I would fail.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about the house scene while we're?
Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, let's talk about that. Definitely.
So I mean, this is the first time for us he's gotten to this house after beating the battlefield, getting to the house, and he's looking for the keys. Or so we think.
Yeah.
And obviously he's got the keys because he knows. He doesn't want her to die because everything he does, she dies. And he's obviously becoming so attached to her, even though she doesn't know him, you know?
Yeah.
That's kind of weird, isn't it? Like,
a very one-sided relationship.
Yeah, it's so unfair for him.
And how odd is that, is to know that, like, you're attracted to this person. I'm not saying whatever relationship style they have, right? Boyfriend, girlfriend. They obviously don't. But I mean, his feelings, whatever he has towards her, it is all one-sided, and he knows information that she isn't yet willing to tell him.
But she has already told him, and
she has. So he knows. Like, that's got to be the weirdest relationship to have.
But he knows her deepest secrets.
Yeah, and she's not even aware he knows.
It's just like, when did I tell you that? Under what circumstances?
So Do you reckon? Yeah, that's pretty cool line that she picked up on. But like, do you reckon she's considered that? I wonder if she's like thinking right there, like
not there, not there, but later on.
But where she picks up that this isn't, this is not the first time he's made me coffee. That's where she starts really considering
I thought that was cool. So,
but even up until there, that he, do you reckon there's a feeling of trust from her to him, even though this is the first time?
Only
because he's saying all the right things, obviously, to get her to that point.
It would only be when she realizes. Every time he's reset, she would only understand that when she realizes herself that he's done this 100 times.
Yes. So before her understanding, though, there would be like a subconscious, like he's tickling all the right itches. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because he knows what order to say what words.
I like that to start with. He was giving her personal information, but the wrong information, because she'd make up stories. And then she told him her middle name, but it wasn't her real middle name. And then later on, he tells her her real middle name.
Yeah, the real one. Yeah.
I thought that was
kind of... And that gains trust. Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
A nice little... A thing that probably you wouldn't really pick up on unless you're paying attention to or watching through it.
Once he knows that middle name, he could use that whenever, and she would know straight away that he's telling the truth.
Yeah.
But that's cool. I like that.
He's kind of got a linchpin. He's got a little thing that he's like, no, trust me, Rose, trust me.
So they're at the house, and she's like, oh, well, we might as well start the day over. She's like, if it's all the same to you, I'm tired, I'm in pain, I'm trying to start again.
She's callous about it, isn't she? She's just so like, fuck it, let's just do it again.
Because she got hurt and stuff. And I'm thinking, yeah, but are you the same you every time? Do you know what I mean?
Like, well, that's like the transport. If you can transport someone, you're pulling apart their atoms and then reassembling them somewhere else? Is that the same person? Is that the same?
I mean, like cloning.
Is it the same memory? Is that the same?
Because like to him, it's the same her because his day resets. But to her, she's just died, hasn't she?
And does that reality carry on? Are they splintering off into another separate?
So really, you should be trying to minimize the amount of deaths.
Absolutely, that should be kept to a minimum.
Should not be a thing that you do. Because I don't think you are the same you every time he is.
It shouldn't be an aim anyway. And who knows, like maybe that universe does end, all right? And then we, as the film viewer, are going to the universe 73217. And now we're viewing that. But all those other people did die. That battle did happen. That they lost. But now we're just skipping through them until we find a universe in which it does work. And but he just happens to be a part of the viewing as well as like he gets to see the time changing, the splitting of the universe. Oh fuck, man.
I don't even know.
I think you'd freeze, man. If you reset just the first time, I'd be like, guys, you got to listen to me. Holy shit. And then you realize that wouldn't work. And then you're like, oh, well, I've just got to calm down and contemplate and figure out,
Yeah. Oh. So he makes a coffee. And she's like, I can't believe you found coffee. And then he's like, hang on, I've got some sugar. And then he's like, oh, wait, hang on, you like 3 sugars.
And that's then, like the trigger.
And then he's like, oh, I think there's a shirt over there in your size. And then she's going, click. How many times have we done this?
Yep. And that's when she's like, we need to end it.
She's like, where are the keys? And then he tries to explain to her, he's like, if we fly, you die. If we get in the helicopter, you die. And he doesn't want that, obviously. And as a line he says there, he's like, I wish I didn't know you, but I do.
Yeah, I wrote that down too. That's, man, that sucks. I wish I didn't know you, but I do. Like, that's for...
Yeah, he don't want you to die. He just wants to...
Because what she says just before that, it was, why does it matter what happens to me? And his response was that I wish I didn't know you, but I do. Like, that's probably the most powerful line in the movie. Like, he's like, no, I know you now. That's the issue, is I know you.
I've done this 1,000 times and I know you.
Yeah.
So that's when he gets to this realization and he's like, all right, I'm going to do it all alone now. I'm not going to use her. I'm not going to need her. Just going to do it all and try and keep her alive. And obviously that doesn't work too well.
No, because he ends up coming back anyway.
Well, he finally gets to where the supposed visions were taking him, and he gets cornered by an alpha. He tries to kill her, and it's so smart that it injures him but doesn't kill him.
Yeah.
Like it whacks the gun out of his hand and cuts his hand up, and now he's bleeding and injured, and it's, yeah. But he still manages to kill himself, doesn't he?
Yeah, because he crawls into that tight space, and then the water comes up or something, and he drowns. Yeah.
And of course, the Amiga wasn't there. It was a trap, and yeah. And now he can't do it alone.
That's how he learned. He's like, oh, we all have to come together. Why can't we all just be friends?
And this is.
I like there's a part as well that, you know how they've got to that bloody house and they hop out the suit, right?
Oh, yes.
Like they hop out their suit. Can you imagine that first moment of like hopping out the suit? How vulnerable,
terrifying.
How like you'd feel so naked because like
so you're just taking off your bulletproof vest or
exactly, yeah. It would feel so weird, and they do that. They do that a bit later as well, but it's like that feeling you've relied on this thing to keep you alive for this long. Your heart's been beating. Now there's a moment of calm where you're taking it off now, and it's like, do I? Don't I? It's gonna be weird.
I had totally forgotten, right? So he regroups with Rita and the doctor, Dr. Carter, the scientist, and then he also ends up regrouping with J Squad, like the squad from the start.
Yeah.
And I forgot about them. And it's so good that they use them. I'm like, makes sense. They need a team, and that's the team, you know? Like,
that's the team, the first team. But you didn't consider that the first time you're watching. You're like, he's just stuck in with these strangers.
Yeah.
And then now that they've kind of come back into play.
Well, that's only after he loses his power that he goes, we need J Squad to help as well. I just want to go back a little bit because they did the training montage where he's training with those claw things.
Yeah,
they're spinning. They're supposed to replicate the mimics, I guess. So yeah, they're on that training field, and she makes him start doing the training, and he gets hurt at the start, and he's like, "I think I broke something." And he's just lying there against the wall because it hit him and knocked him against the wall, and she's like, "What did you break?" And he's like, "My back. I can only feel my lips."
Then bang.
And that's when she explains to him, she's like, if you're injured, make sure you die.
Yeah, how crucial and important it is.
Yeah, because if you don't die, the day doesn't reset.
And then you get a blood transfusion, and then it won't ever reset.
And then again, he gets hurt again, and she's like, wait, I'm fine. And then she's like, coming up to him, pointing the gun at him, and he's like, wait. And he's like, okay, just do it. You didn't want to die. He's like, I'm okay, don't kill me.
It'd be hard to get over that natural urge of like, no, I can't die. Like the biological like urge to not burn yourself, not whatever.
Like, what if you don't reset? Like, you know,
this might be the last one. Yeah.
How do you know? Like,
it's like if you get the ability to fly. It's like, I don't think I'd be flying too high because you only just got the ability. What if you just lose it? You know what I mean?
To trust it first. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to trust the ability. That's a good.
And do you ever like? Is there ever a point where you trust it 100%, or you always take it as it comes? Like, it might be the last time.
And then there was
which is why you should keep it to a minimum.
Exactly.
Like you don't want to, restart the day as many times as possible. You don't want to fly all willy-nilly just because the time when you do need to do it. It's essentially the little boy who cried wolf, isn't it? Don't be like crying wolf all the time, because the time when there actually is one, you might fucking need everyone, but they won't listen because you used it the other.
Yeah, and there's also a really funny bit also while they're training. He's like, so I've been thinking, it's in my blood, right? And she's like, yes, I tried it.
Yeah, that's
he's
right.
Thinking about blood transfusion.
Yeah.
Because he wants to give it to her. And he's like, but have you tried everything, though?
Yeah,
have you tried everything?
And he's like he's like hip thrusting. He like does a little movement.
Eyebrows and she's like, yes, I tried sex too.
Yeah.
That was so funny.
It's funny how it shows her personality.
Yeah.
She's like straight to the point. Yes, we tried sex too. Like that. Yeah.
Like it's not even a thing. Like, yes, of course we did. So,
but he's like avoiding it, not trying to say the word. He's like, have you tried, like everything? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
It was so funny. I like that.
There's another part where he's like, you know, when the first time he respawns, and he's like, "You've got to listen to me. You've got it, guys. Everyone's lives depend on it." And it cuts straight to a scene where they're en route to the battle, and he's got tape over his mouth, and they've like strapped him in, kind of thing, because they just don't believe him at all.
That's after he explains himself. Yeah. That was so funny. They fucking duct tape him.
So he knows that he can't be truthful to them to get the right outcome just yet. Anyway.
Yeah, he's got to learn more about them. It's
quite a funny movie, isn't it? Like, there's a lot of humor throughout.
And apparently, I read some of the IMDb, and they said that Tom Cruise wanted that every death to sort of be funny sometimes. He didn't want the deaths to always be serious, like he
not to always be brutal,
like rolling under the truck and getting run over and not making it, and.
Because that would be if this was real, if this was a thing, and you've done it so many times, just to get the timing down right onto, I don't know, when to duck for cover. Exactly. It'd probably take you 20 deaths just to figure it out.
You're like, all right, I died that time, so next time I need to duck. But then you duck too far. You know, and something else gets you.
Or you don't, or you simply don't duck at the right time.
Yeah, or you duck and then something else happens.
Bail on the idea of ducking, and so you try a different technique. But ducking was what you needed to do. But it's just so many routes.
And also another thing that we could talk about is, like, obviously in the middle of the movie, he's trying to save her, and she's just dying hundreds and hundreds of times. So he's starting to give up almost on like life and trying to help. Like he just has this like, I'm sick of watching her die. Like, how many times? Could you imagine watching someone die over and over and again? Someone that you know and
struggling, and you've done whatever that must be torture.
Like, how many times do you try and save someone? Like, do you keep going to the end of the infinite?
And then like when he shrugs it off, and when he's like, just what we were talking about a bit earlier, how he goes on his own. He's like, no, I'm not even going to involve her.
Yeah.
But even those times, every single time, he knows that she's dying in the battlefield somewhere.
She's still dying.
She's still dying.
She dies that first day anyway. So.
The only option is death for her. And that's what he's figuring out. He's like kind of getting to the like, even if he doesn't help her, she dies. If he does help her, she dies. If we both help each other, it doesn't get ever past the helicopter base.
That would be so
no, it'd be tormenting.
It would be torture, really.
Yeah,
and then,
it would
be. Then he finally gets the motivation, or hatred, I think it's called, towards these creatures.
Yeah.
And that's when it starts to all change, and that's when he then makes it to the house and all that stuff. Yeah. Just so well done. I liked. Yeah, just that. Oh, like, how many times do you reckon he tried to save her? Like, that's crazy.
Do you know how much pent up emotion would be stuck inside you? Because, like, you got to think, like,
and it's all
saving someone.
He's the only one who knows.
And she doesn't know. Yeah, I know, right?
But the whole world doesn't know either. Like, it's like, so much.
Consider it, like, I don't know why I think it's similar to this, but like, imagine you've got a dog and it's sick, and you're doing everything you can. You're keeping it alive. You know, you're feeding it, and this thing, and this poor creature is suffering. But like, it's not past that point where you think it's right, but you're doing everything you can. But the dog doesn't even know any of the effort that you've put into keeping alive. Doesn't know any of the anguish any of the hours you spent up at night. You know, any of that. All it sees is the one-sidedness, and it's happy that you're there for it. But it's torture for you as well to go on. Like, that's got to be... What
is the right thing to do? That's the thing. Like, you don't... I don't know. You just got to do what's right for you.
A good rule... Absolutely. It's an individual basis. It's the suffering, I think. Yeah. It's quality over quantity. As soon as that quantity starts getting in the way of the quality, I think that's the issue.
Because we had a cat. I don't know, you remember Smidget, the black...
Yeah, Smidget.
Black cat. Like, when he was... Yeah. Like, he started having seizures and stuff. And
terrifying.
Mum's like, we have to take him to the vet. And by the time we got him there, he was literally dead when he got there. Like,
horrible.
Like, and he was in so much pain, and... It's like, no, that's too far. You can't let it. I don't want to let that happen to my other cats. Like, that's not,
no, you can't let it get that far.
That's just too far. As much as you love them, it's just, yeah.
I feel like a good, like, yeah, like it's pain, or can they eat and shit themselves?
Yeah.
So like if they can get up and go to the toilet, if they can get up and go eat, I think that's a nice rule of thumb. They're still okay.
Which is what we did with Labrador, because he got to the point where he couldn't stand up and he kept like soiling himself and all this. It was like, no, it's time to get rid, time to put him down.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's not a thing.
And that was the right time to do it.
Yeah.
Whereas Richard,
we had the same thing with our. Yeah, I know, and you kind of learn from that as well, don't you? It's like
that's it. It's all learning. It's all. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Everything's just experiments. No, everything's just experiments, and you're updating your knowledge and hoping for the best in the future. That's really, you can't do anything other than that.
It's stupid with humans that we can't. Like, it's not legal to choose to put ourselves down or.
Again, what two consenting adults want to do with their own bodies, they must be allowed to do. Otherwise, we are not free people. That's absolutely wrong.
I get it should be like regulated, and you don't want just a teenager doing it because they're depressed.
I'm not saying we should celebrate it. It's like abortion. There's a reason why it's legal. Well, where we live, it's legal. But we're not not going out and going, woohoo!
No, exactly.
Fuck yeah, that's my 7th this year.
I've got a terminal illness. I don't want to suffer. So you shouldn't have to, like.
And for you especially, like for someone you're not capable of administering or whatever, you're not actually capable of ending it. I'm not saying you're thinking about it, but
yeah, I know what you're saying.
It needs to be it needs to be okay for you to talk to your closest loved ones to decide, I'm done, I am finished, I've struggled long enough. Can you guys please organise this? And they shouldn't be getting in trouble for helping you. You know, that's
just wrong.
That's so wrong. And personal choice. It's
because I mean, there's people that like they don't want to be vegetables and be kept alive. Like, it's not fair. They should be allowed to. That's a perfectly good reason to be able to do it.
Like, it's
not like they're just depressed. It's
because I think of your situation. I think that's like going from my level to where you're at is that's torturous. But then there's another step further where it's like
it's always going to be worse. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, like, you could be stuck in a coma, or at least everyone else thinks you are, but you're mentally there.
I might not be able to vocalize.
But you can't control.
I might not be able to talk. Like, that would be next level again. Like, it could be so much worse. But
absolutely.
It's up to everyone to decide what they think is too much. But if you suddenly tomorrow had a car crash or whatever, and you ended up couldn't feed yourself, couldn't do anything yourself, if you wanted to end it, you should be allowed to. That's your choice. But for me, I don't want to do that. But for you, your experience is different, you know?
Absolutely. I refuse to be kept alive.
And also, you've gone from fully able-bodied to all of a sudden can't do anything, whereas mine was gradual. Yeah. So it didn't affect me as much as...
No, I think more,
sudden.
I think if there are, like, I don't know, if you can't fucking... If it got to the stage, like seriously thinking about your situation, if it got to the stage where you can't communicate anymore, that's the end of it. Like, and
in your eyes,
I can't imagine a life like what.
Yeah, I know exactly.
There is no the only way that things can make that better is like some sort of like implant that then can vocalize your thoughts.
See, like,
then I'd be like, okay.
If I can still move my eyes and I can control the computer and I can type a message, or like it's
communication. Yes,
and
communication.
I don't know how I would react, and I'd have to be in that situation to know what I would do. But thinking about it now, I would want to stay alive. I don't care. But
I don't understand that feeling you have.
But,
I don't understand
if that happened, then maybe my mind would change. You know.
Yeah.
But at this stage, I want to be here with...
Is it because you I understand you want to be... I know you don't want to miss out on the rest of the life. Yeah, I completely get those parts of it too. That is the real... That's like a feeling. I get that. You don't want to... It's like when a party ends and you leave, but you realize everyone else is still partying inside the party, and you're like, oh, I thought we were all leaving.
Yeah.
Shit. But now everyone's still having fun and I'm now going home. That's not right.
That's exactly the metaphor. You're right. That's a great metaphor.
It doesn't feel good. And I can imagine myself if I'm in a place where my mental capabilities are all there, but I absolutely cannot communicate with the outside world.
Yeah, I mean,
please fucking force a pillow over my face. Fucking end me, because inside I'm crying and I've never stopped crying. Like, that would be the worst torture ever. You can't communicate. I'm worked up right now thinking about it. That is the worst thing ever. It's like solitary confinement times 1,000.
See, I guess like if I couldn't communicate at all, then yeah, that might change the way I think about it.
Dude, even if I'm stuck down to just blinking, like that's like, I know you've got like you can control the monitor with like where you look and stuff. Let's say that's debilitated to now it's just yes or no, blink once or blink twice.
I don't know.
Let's say that's the last thing. I'm serious.
I know.
Fucking, I wish this was my last will and testament. Fucking kill me.
All right, I will make sure that happens when you end up like that.
But keep in mind also, if I lost my pinky, I might end my life. So let's just... No, I'm joking. Anyway.
Honestly, I don't know. If I couldn't communicate at all and it was just yes or no, then, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to be in that situation.
It'd be a serious consideration, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but at this stage, I'm pretty happy.
No, I get it. I also, like...
But the choice
I keep thinking about, like,
the choice.
That's exactly right. The choice is the option out.
Yeah.
And you've already figured out before any incidents happens, like you've got I'm certain you've got a will ready. I'm sure.
No.
Or something, don't you?
No, I trust my parents know what I want, but yeah.
Well, all right. Well, at least they have. But the problem with that is the parents don't get a say if the government takes control of the issue. So...
We have thought of, I think there is something we can do to...
I'm sure there's got to be something written down anyway, because my parents have just gone through their will and like sorting all that stuff out, and who has the final say in pulling the plug if that happens and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, I think
but it's like, the point is to have your say before the incident occurs, because you can never say after the fact.
We did just do a whole, like a year or so ago, we did a whole paperwork thing for me to say who gets to speak when I'm not able to, and yeah, we did all that stuff. I don't know what it was called, but it wasn't in the will. It was like a separate.
Oh no, I only use that because that's like the common word.
It was a care directive, advanced care directive.
Okay. Yeah, care directive, because we had to sign a care directive for my papa because he was under a do not resuscitate.
We did all that, and so that there is something. It just says that my parents could talk on my behalf is pretty much it.
Oh, fair enough, which is the choice that you would make, absolutely. It's like, I remember my papa, on his last days, you know, he had like brain tumor and some shit, so he wasn't there mentally.
Yeah.
And the way that they let him pass was give him a shitload of morphine.
Not legal, but they did it.
No, I mean, they didn't do that at all.
No. It just overdosed.
It just happened to have happened.
Yes.
And it's like, like that seems like the only option. At least like that's the only way to guarantee they're not feeling pain. At least there we go.
Yeah,
we've sorted that part out of
it.
Just at least
asleep and just
at bare minimum that. But if we didn't do that, he would have been like choking and like on those last bits where other parts of his bodies are failing, but he's like, he's mentally there now. He's suffering, whether or not he's conscious, but the body there is feeling it. The pure animal there would still be feeling the pain. So we've now taken care of that issue at least. But it's actually illegal to take care of the thing we love most.
Yeah.
Like, how the fuck is that okay? Like, that's so weird. Even though he didn't work that out before he got ill and got like lost his mental capabilities, like it was the family. If I don't have a will, I want what my family wants. If they decide to throw me in a bin, that's okay.
Yeah.
Do that.
My
family has the right. But because I didn't have it in writing, now they've done the wrong thing. No, no, there's my family. They top your government system. I don't give a fuck. My family is that. My family's my family.
See, it's usually not a problem unless family members disagree, and that's when you start to need things written down.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Most cases,
especially when it comes for like, but most of the time with like that stuff, it comes to getting the goods. Who wants the goods? You know what I mean? Who gets the money?
Yeah.
And it's like, shut up. No, if anyone says, "Oh, I want it," you don't get it.
Exactly.
Now. That's how it works.
Just humans are selfish, and I don't know. I feel like we are not as selfish as most humans, but I don't know. It just yeah, people.
Oh, I'm still pretty selfish.
Yeah, I know, but you wouldn't like take someone's money and.
Oh well,
like,
a perfect example to me is like, you know, when there was that, was it Ariana Grande or Taylor Swift? One of them had a concert and there was like a shooting, right?
Yeah.
And after the fact, they did another concert where all of the funds went to help the victims.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I completely disagree with that. I think that's so wrong.
Yeah. Right.
Because a victim, like, let's say you're a mum, you lost your daughter to a shooting.
Yeah.
Look, I agree with them paying and covering all the funeral costs and any kind of injuries. I get that part. But to give the family some sort of payout because their son or daughter was involved in a mass murder?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Money shouldn't
that
fix
is
the grave.
wrongest. That's the wrongest. That is so wrong. I know that was the wrongest thing I've ever said. Many much good English.
Yes.
But that's so wrong to think that that's okay to just go, all right, well, you know what? Let's just give each family 10 grand. What it should have been is like, no, you give us the receipt to the issues with the funeral, and we'll absolutely cover all of it. There'll be no questions asked. You'll be covered.
Not extra.
But there doesn't need to be this thing of like, oh, now you're getting a payout. There's 10 grand. I'll go buy yourself a new Coke.
It's like, here's some money to make you feel better.
It's not going to make you feel better.
If anything,
a person's life
worse.
cannot equate. Exactly, because you're like, now can't spend the money with your loved one. You're realizing what they're missing out on more. And it's so wrong that we've tried to make it like it's like, oh, you need to get some payout because your I don't know, son was involved in an accident. And it's like, no, what do you, no. No, it can't be monetary based.
But restarting the day is taking the choice away, and that sucks.
Yeah, well, yeah, in a way, he didn't get a choice, did he?
No, he had to watch her die, and he had no choice.
He had to, yeah.
Oh, shit.
Heavy topic,
Do you
guys.
like that come full circle, man? Do you like that full circle?
I like that. You brought it back to. I'm like, how are we gonna go back to the movie, even though we're near the end of it? But like, how are we gonna join this back?
Back in the movie, there was a scene in the middle somewhere. I was actually going to look up what he said, but it's the whole where they explain, where the scientist explains about the mimics and the omega and all this stuff. I was gonna find the quote and read it out, but I haven't got it. So yeah, I don't know.
That's all right.
Did you write anything down about that? It's not super important. We kind of went over it at the start anyway.
I think so. How just, he was going over what that thing that he created, the machine that you plug it into the mimic, and that is technically like some sort of Ethernet cable you connect to it,
Science.
Yeah, science. Exactly, science. Mumbo jumbo jargon, blah, blah, blah. It's the gluons that hold the fabric of reality together, which folds in on itself, and it works.
And so when the doctor or the scientist, Dr. Carter, when he tried to explain to the general about this device and how to stop them, he said, "Oh, you're crazy," and fired him, didn't he?
Yeah, and that's why he's now a mechanic or something like that.
Yeah, so they have to go to the general because it's in the vault, in the safe in the general's office. And that whole scene's pretty cool. So you got...
It's the best scene. It's so cool. It's like, and it just shows, it goes to show how many times that he's relived this, just that scene there.
So what happens, so he's walking into the building, isn't he, or before then?
Yeah, well, just before he's gotten into the building, he asks her, he's like, no, stand on my right-hand side and look down and away, because this guy, he always recognizes you. So looked away, and then they get through. And I like when they first get inside, they walk forward and then they take a couple steps back and move out of the way.
You had to go forward to go back, like I had to.
Exactly, like he needed to. It wasn't just go straight to that door and wait there. It's like, no, go in, back up, hide, back out, go. Like there's a step. He's so thoughtful.
And he says, "And turn now." And she turns around and just keeps turning. She doesn't know what to do.
I like that was the best part about it, how well she played clueless, doesn't she? She's like, and because he's just grabbing her arm and like nudging her and stuff like that. And that's all she's got to play with. She can't do anything.
Do you know why he's doing that? Because he's given up trying to explain to her what to do. Because she can't.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work because she can't remember because she's not him.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'll just do it for you. Just sit there and look stupid.
That's something that's just popped into my mind now. She's learning everything for the first time. He's learning everything for the 1,000th time.
How complicated.
Like, that is such a... It's like it's like us trying to explain to a kid, like, no. If you you plug that into there, you're going to get zapped. Don't do that. But you know it. They don't.
Like, to start with, he must have tried to explain it to her. And he must have said, all right, turn left, turn right. And then he's got to a point where he's like, okay, I'll just do it. Just let me move you and you do what I...
Yeah, this might be the best... Yeah, this is obviously the quickest, most efficient route.
Yeah, which makes sense because he can remember and she can't.
Yeah,
and so then he eventually gets to the vault and he's talking to the general and she's like, going to shoot him. She's like, I'll just start again. This is not working. And he's like, no, wait. And then he says whatever he says. Finally gets the device.
Yeah.
And then she's like, all right, what do we do now? And he's like, I don't know. Have I got this far before?
What a feeling that would be. Imagine that feeling.
So you just won the video game. You just won the game. Like,
that's got to be what it feels like to be a pioneer, to be the first person to be in that place at that time. Because he is literally, this is it.
That's like
but
amazement.
It's not just he's the first person, he's the first him. Yeah, exactly.
Like wonder and like amazement. Like, I've never been here before. This is new. Exactly. Yeah. And then of course, it didn't quite go to plan. And then all the soldiers are outside with the guns ready, and I'm like, oh no. And that's and that's where they somehow get into that convoy car, isn't it? Yeah, they end up in the car and they end up in a crash.
What I like is if you're in the car, he stabs himself. He uses the machine, that that connects him to the link, and he gets like, you know how it goes all like ghost-like, you know what I mean? It goes into like this alternate
it's like
area.
Multiple times happening at once, and it's like time is just like confused.
And he's getting like clues, trying to figure out exactly where to go, where they need to head, where the Omega is.
Like in a movie where they have a vision of the future, or like
it's like cutscenes and
pieces,
stuff.
Like.
But it's all like ghostly.
Yeah.
Like there's like
it's
like underwater. You can see the flow.
Yeah, exactly, underwater.
Yeah, but I like how. Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's it. There, we may as well be. But he's now you're just throwing in buzzwords. I like how he stabbed himself with that and then he pulled it out, right? And now he's back, and then where they just got to figure out they got to go to Team J, or sorry, what was it, Squad J?
J Squad, yeah.
But J Squad, but he's running over to there and he's limping. Like they remembered to have him limp from stabbing himself in the leg. Like little things. Those things are so crucial, but like even if I didn't pick up on it, I'm certain I would have picked up on him not limping because I just watched him stab his leg.
A lot of the time, like I hear a lot within like other movies, like action scenes and stunt scenes. A good stunt actor will remember that he needs to hold his leg, or they will remember these things. Sometimes the director won't know.
Yeah,
a good actor knows what the body is like, and that. Okay, I should be limping after I got punched.
That's what they are, aren't they? They're the ultimate liar. But I don't mean that just as in to deceive, but they're like the ultimate like, okay, if my character was feeling this, he would also be feeling this. So I may as well do the whole feeling of it. It's like when he looked into her eyes, when he saw her die, like for one of the first times or whatever, and you could see in his face like, oh no, like, oh shit, we are so out of our depth here.
Yeah.
We are like, I'm guessing, maybe it did, but I'm guessing the director didn't say, oh, look at her and feel this. Like this is a thing that he's had to contemplate. Yeah. He's come up with throughout the years of acting, figured out like, oh, pain is this. And if doing something so heroic can make you feel this, and like, it's quite, like you said, I think it's a lot to do with the acting too.
A lot of these high profile actors, I don't think, this is why their relationships don't work well, because, like, I'm sure they are good at lying and deceiving in relationships.
And that lies the issue,
and that's why they are actors, because they've had a troubled upbringing where they've had to lie to parents, or, they've had to...
It'd be a bit kind of like, imagine being, just a normal, not an actor, and you get into a relationship with someone, but you realise they cheated on their past partner with you.
Yeah.
And now you're like, what? We're meant to be safe. I'm meant to trust you. We're meant to be okay.
Yeah, like, you're not gonna. Why did you cheat on him? And you're gonna cheat on me?
It started on a rocky bottom. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And,
okay.
Yeah, those kind of people are naturally good at lying because they've had to learn it, and you know, even if they've learned it for reasons, they still have to learn it.
I think just having siblings makes you a better liar.
That too, yeah.
I'll be honest.
I'm sure not all actors are bad people.
Yeah. I think what we're trying to say is a lie isn't necessarily bad.
Tom Cruise is a bit messed up, but anyway.
Well, I mean, he's gone full-fledged into the Scientology,
he's a good actor sometimes,
we don't really know.
He's a good actor sometimes.
Dude, I'm glad you actually put a little bit on the end of that. Sometimes, like you didn't say he's a good actor. You said no. Sometimes he is good. Generally, I'd say me, man. But I haven't. I always thought like Mission Impossibles were kind of corny.
See, his personality does work for this though. He's got that kind of arrogant, confident. He's a soldier.
Yeah, whatever's happening in this movie is spot on for his. I also thought he was really good in that. Was it The Mummy? Not the
new one.
You know,
the new one.
Yeah, the new one. Yeah. I really liked his character in that. It was just done so well.
Because the Mummy is kind of taking the piss sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
It's got that humor.
But he's also maybe that's what I'm thinking it is. It's because it's not a full-fledged serious movie. It's like they've made it a silly movie as well as, so you can kind of see like poke fun of it. It's like
he's so arrogant and so trusting that he's able to kill things that he's joking around and
exactly. He's like playing around with the scenes and
So just with the movie again, why did they call them mimics? Do you reckon? I thought maybe they used to copy. Would they mimic things, or why were they mimics?
Like,
because I mean, at one point there was one hiding in the trailer.
Now I'm thinking of like
is it like a transformer? Does it like copy things?
I'm thinking a bit more meta here, like a bit out of the box here.
Does it mean something else?
Because, like, now this is not going to be. This obviously won't be actually why they called it that because it's out over the top. But like. Because in the movie, those characters called them mimics, all right? Yeah. But do you reckon it's because the mimics are like, it's like a what do they call that? A hive mind. So they're all connected to the source. But every time they reset the reality, they kind of mimic the last reality just to get the outcome that they want. You know what I mean? Like, do they
like that? You think?
And like outside of it, kind of thing. Maybe we're meant to think into it a bit more. They're mimicking each version of events just so that they get their outcome. So they just change it just a little bit. They
obviously needed a name to call them, so the directors or the writers were like, going into some depth in the character, overall relating to the whole thing, even though the humans didn't name them for that reason, you know.
Yeah, even though they didn't, but the name that they thought of, they thought, oh, fuck it. Yeah, I just, that's a weird thing.
I can't remember what they called them in the manga, though. I don't know what they were called. I guess they were called mimics in there as well. I don't know.
What's the manga called for this? Is it the same name?
No. It's called All You Need Is Kill. And it's like a 2-volume manga. It's like 400 pages or something. I didn't realise.
Yeah, they call them mimics in that. They're definitely mimics in there.
Okay, I didn't realise it was a 400-page book though, but it is.
Okay.
I mean, it's comics, so it's quicker.
It's interesting that it came from a comic. Like, how good of an idea is that? Because
Japanese always have good ideas.
There's that many. Like, you can almost consider every comic book a sketch, an early version of a possible movie.
Exactly.
And you're like, or not saying that, sorry to all the comic book fans out there, I'm not saying that they're not finished products, but you know what I mean? Like, maybe they are like it's like when you get that first drawing of what an animation is possibly going to look like. It looks like a sketch. It's not completely filled in. It's not raw. So, you know, it's like it's a raw version of the possibility that it could be.
It's like a storyboard or whatever they do. Because they do this when they make movies. They do comic book style sketches to show the director, like, this is what it might look like, you know?
This is what we're picturing. This is how we see it. He's going to look over there in the distance.
Rough, those are a lot more rough.
Yeah. They would be very rough, absolutely.
Because they time is money, so...
Well, I think even if you look at the beginning stages of a comic book, I bet the initial cells that they draw are like simple. Yeah. I'm not saying they'll be stick figures, but they'll just be simple outlines, and then later on they get an illustrator to come in and actually touch it up and make it look beautiful.
Exactly what I was going to say. They probably outsource the drawing. Like, here's my idea. Now draw the things, and I've written the script and the words and.
Yeah, so make it have this emotion or whatever. Sometimes
the people that write the story do that illustrations too. It just depends. It depends what their
depends how skillful they are.
Lies in,
Well,
because they might have started off with drawing, and then thought, okay, I'm going to turn my drawings into a story. Or they've gone, I've got a story. Now I need someone to draw it for me. It could go either way.
Or they could be just sitting at a desk and the CEO or their boss comes in from Disney and goes, I need 3 storylines that match this. Give me them now.
Yeah.
And that's probably what is more likely.
Yeah. So let's get to the end of the movie now, the last scene.
Yep. So just on the last scene, they have their plane that they turn into a boat.
Oh yeah, towards the end there.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, the crash.
So, and they fucking, what do they do to it? They make it so that it doesn't, because they obviously aren't going to fly with it.
They just want to go
They just
forward.
need to go in that direction and fast, or whatever it was. Imagine being on that plane/boat ride like
fuck yeah.
That would be terrifying, man. That'd be so terrifying. You just hit one thing, you're all dead. You don't crash in the right place, you're all dead. The plane thing explodes, you're all dead. Like,
yeah, I mean, it already crashed from the sky to the ground because they got ambushed, or they knew they were coming.
Yeah, something like that. They knew.
It blew out the wing, and that's why they couldn't get airborne. So they had to then turn it into a ram raid.
It blew their. Yeah, exactly. Or like, what do they call that? Icebreaker ships.
Yeah.
And that just crashes through all the ice to break it up so that the smaller ships can come behind.
Ice in buildings.
Yeah, exactly. But so the mimics shot them down and then didn't go to attack them on the ground?
I guess it did, because we didn't see a lot there, because Major Williams ended up in the water and he had to touch his suit, didn't he, and get back up to the surface. And then he eventually finds the rest of the team. So maybe they were fighting a bit. We didn't see that.
Yeah, we weren't apart. Yeah.
Yeah, because we were
because he gets lost, and then he's walking around, and then all of a sudden, him and Rita are pointing guns at each other. That's right.
Maybe they're all hiding, and they all just came out going, "Oh shit."
Yeah, but then when it comes time for them to create the boat, they're creating the boat, and one of the guys is in the mech suit, and he's like pushing trucks and shit out of the way so that they have a clear path. But all that time. Even if that was 2 minutes of time.
Yeah, I know.
That's still
Hollywood, though.
Yeah.
And then a wave of them did come.
Movie continuity.
A wave of them did come at the end there.
Yeah, and then they definitely did. No,
and then the guy sacrificed himself and blew up the oil truck and... but then
I think...
So then they crash into the building.
Yeah.
And he's in the water swimming down to the Omega, and the Alpha is on his tail. And he's trying to swim frantically down there, and
trying to swim in a downwards direction is fucking hard, man. Because like you got the air inside of you trying to push you to the top,
and no flippers on his feet, and
no flippers, and he's got like gear on, like you can imagine having pants and a jacket, like these
not just
things
light material, like denim almost. Like imagine wet denim, like it's heavy.
I remember I remember at school doing like, we'd have to go to a swimming course, and it'd be like for a week, everyone would go to learn how to swim.
Yeah.
And one of the last exercises was come to the swimming course, but fully dressed in winter clothes.
Yeah. And try and swim.
And obviously only one child at a time, because they didn't want to have any accidents. But you were to jump in the pool and try and change out of them into your bathing, your bathing clothes would be underneath, but like you got to try and get your other clothes off. And you don't realize how cumbersome, how much it hugs you, but it doesn't hug you.
Especially if you have like a woolen jumper or something like.
Yeah, or like you said, imagine having your jeans on plus, let's say a windbreaker that's full of water. It takes a lot out of you, yeah.
Because that's just like in case you get knocked in the water, or they're trying to teach you to be ready for that situation, yeah.
Or at least understand that it's going to be harder in the real life situation than just thinking, oh, I can swim now, I'm never going to drown.
So he pulls the grenade pins.
Yeah,
and then Arthur stabs him in the back at that last minute. And he was just in time to pull those pins out. A second longer, he wouldn't have been able to.
He wouldn't. And it's like the Alpha knew where to hit, and it got him in the right spot so that he would have been paralyzed, but he was just too late. And you see those pins, all of them together floating away kind of thing. So you know that it's about to bloody explode. Because what does he drop into him? What does he drops in, like, it's a whole bunch of grenades, or is it claymores?
I think they're grenades, hand grenades.
Yeah, I think they were around.
Pretty sure,
But yeah. And then when that explodes, like, it's like it goes in. It's like it goes in slow motion for a bit, because then like the shockwaves catch up to him.
Yeah, I guess it's underwater too, so you've got that whole
feel to
pressure.
It. Yeah.
At least there was no fire underwater, was there?
Oh, I know, right? There was a what do they call that? There's
pressure wave
there's an explosion, and then there's a combustion. Yeah. No, explosion is just air pressure pushing.
Yeah.
But a combustion explosion is something with flames and
you can't have fire
or something along those lines, and it just doesn't work. It's same with like in space or whatever, It
wouldn't be like how they show it.
there would be a flame inside the space station because there's oxygen supplied and everything. But as soon as the outside atmosphere gets to it, it gets put out, and
yeah, and so as he blows it up, he gets the Omega's blood on him, doesn't he? I'm pretty sure it's the Omega's blood.
Is that is that?
And then the day
is that why?
Because the day resets, but back further, and then he's in the helicopter or something, and then it's all over, and the war's won, and the bad guys just died, and it's like
it hasn't gone back further.
Well, he was in the helicopter going to the base, which was like at the start. The very start. But this is like before he gets told he has to go to the battlefield.
See, I thought he went back to the same time.
Every time, and they just cut that out.
It just, now that wasn't the option. Maybe the battle at Verdun won, and that was the end of it. And I thought, I don't know why, I still thought he got transported back to that same time, but he was no longer on the barracks. He was getting transported because they had already won the war, so there was no need.
Right at the start of the movie, before the general sent him off to battle, he was in the helicopter.
Yeah.
So I thought that's where he went back to this time.
No, you're right. I didn't even consider that's very possible.
But maybe he went back there every time, and they just cut that out. It didn't show us that over and over again. Maybe that wasn't relevant. No.
Because he woke up in the base, and he was always like out in pain because he felt the last death.
Back further somehow.
No, see, maybe I don't think you're getting what I'm trying to say. I think maybe he went back to the exact same time as him waking up on those barracks. Because it was all fixed. He had finished the battle. Maybe even the battle in Verdun, or what, still not sure how to say that. But maybe her battle was finished. Was the right thing to do because he had won the battle in this future.
Because they referenced the pulse that turned off all the aliens, which was him. But then
doing the explosion,
he didn't do it because
now it's before
what?
That wouldn't work.
Okay, maybe I don't know.
Maybe he's in a separate universe now.
What the fuck? Yeah, Jesus Christ. Yeah. So anyway, and then the final scene, he goes to the battlefield, the barracks. And he sees
I like
Rita.
how he walks in. He's got his suit on. Everyone's now giving him, attention. Look at him. Oh, geez.
Because now he's not a traitor anymore, and he's back as a major.
Exactly. Now he's got his hat on. He's in the suit, so he looks nicer than everyone else. Yeah. He's not dressed in the soldier gear.
Yeah. And then he walks up to her, and she's like, "What do you want? Why are you walking in here like she does every other time? Who said you could talk to me?"
Yeah, who said you could talk to me?
And it's a higher rank than her. and
then what does he say?
Does he say something? He does, doesn't he? And then it just...
Or does he just smile at her?
I think he just looks at her and smiles.
Maybe he just looks at her and smiles.
It's just like, what are you looking at? And then that was it, wasn't it?
because my last note is the look of him seeing her again.
And she's not going to die anymore. He saved her.
Is pretty powerful. Yeah, like he'd finished the thing. He'd finished the mission essentially, but then for that scene to be fucking ruined by some shitty pop music, I was so
what song was it?
It was fucking like Imagine Dragons or some bullshit. Just fucking.
Yeah, it should have been something sci-fi or I don't know. It was a bit weird, wasn't it? Yeah.
No, it shouldn't have been a song. It should have been like music. You said, like some sort of fucking
orchestra, sci-fi,
atmospherical. Yeah, exactly.
Like they usually do.
But instead, they went with bam. Let's put a top 40 pop song.
Because it was a big movie. It was a big, like almost like a Hollywood blockbuster movie. It was a big. So I guess they put that in there.
Dude, I could have done with some Christopher Nolan's bloody dun 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 dun.
Exactly.
Dun 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 dun. You know, just something like out of bloody. Yeah. Oh, well, anyway. Oh, you know what'd be a cool thing in the future? Like, imagine being able to go like, hey, Christopher Nolan, would you mind tackling, like, getting the raw footage from this movie and then making it in your style?
Yeah, wow, that could be interesting. But
how interesting would that be?
I don't know how that would work there because he wasn't there to direct it, you know? Like,
yeah.
So his
you're
vision,
right.
He could do something different.
No, I know, but also, like, I could see even like with all the Star Wars, like especially the new ones that are being made. Do you know how much footage was left on the cutting room floor? So like, imagine having an outsider opinion go like, "Hey, go for it. Try and make a better Star Wars Awakens. Yeah. Try to, please. This would be magical."
I think they could,
but Disney wouldn't let that.
No. So and that leaves it open ended. So does he explain to Rita everything that happened? Or does he leave it and not and go separate ways? Like, what does he do? What do you think?
You'd have to explain to her because he's already he may as well be in love with her right now. You know what I mean? Like, he's infatuated because he knows her.
So I reckon, I like to think that, yes, he explains it all, but we don't know.
Because she would understand too because she's gone through it. So he would be able to explain it. But then for her to try and understand that the war that has just been won was actually won in the future, in a past future.
From her and him.
Do you reckon she would believe him? Would she? Because she's
he knows her middle name. He knows everything.
It's like earlier.
How else would he know about the aliens and the day reset him? No one else knew that except her and the Dr. Carter.
But when he's talking earlier in the movie, when he's talking to Dr. Carter and her, and he's like, well, so these are all just theories, right? And it's like, wait, you wouldn't be just going, these are all just theories to the only people on Earth who know what you're going through. Like, what do you mean? You would believe them because they're the only ones who've had any insight into the things you're living. Like, you would, I don't know.
So, anyway. I'll do a bit of an overall thing here. So,
go for it. Jump in.
I like the progression from like, at the start, he's a noob. He's got no idea how to do anything. He's useless. And they're getting better and better and better, you know, getting this progression.
Yeah, seeing the build, seeing him learning.
Building and now I can do this and oh shit, now I can't. And then, yes, I can again and all that.
It's all about like seeing all the paths taken, then to be not taken the next time. And then, you know, like the growth of him,
And so, and also I was looking at the IMDb. And as a reference is like to how much of it's like a video game. So, you know, in a video game, you die and you respawn.
Did you say that's why the guy who wrote the manga?
No.
Oh, but I was about to say that's what he said. He put it down to people playing video games.
Yeah, that's what sparked his inspiration.
Just restarting a level and trying to do it a bit better than the last time you tried. Yeah.
And that really came across. I thought that was kind of...
It was so well portrayed, man.
Good.
Seeing, like you said, the learn every single time, getting a bit better, a bit quicker. And then trying to save that one guy from getting hit by the plane. We made it!
He gives up and doesn't save him anymore.
Because saving him isn't actually saving him in the moment.
It's a waste of time,
what would save him really
is... killing all the aliens. Yeah. Wow, that end game is like, no, let them die because I will save them by saving everyone, you know? Like, wow, that's quite deep, actually.
I'm deep,
and
bro.
Also there was mention of like a bit of a like gender role reversal because usually it's like the man taking the lead, showing the woman holding her hand and saving her and all this, whereas in this movie, it's Rita. She's the one who knows what's going on. She's the badass. She's the one
fucking
holding his hand because he's got no fucking idea. And even right at the end, she's still holding his hand almost, isn't she?
And it's nice. Yeah, actually, like she's kind of, she's
no,
still the one who is experienced.
She's like, I'll distract it and you go blow it up. It's just like, no, I'll distract it because you're too slow.
Yeah.
And so she's still got that control, like.
She's got the one up.
Yeah.
She's like, if they were ranked, she would be the sergeant, he'd still be the soldier. You know what I mean? Like in that kind of thing. Yeah. I no, you go. You finish yours.
So,
I'll do my notes after.
My last overall sort of thing was so when they get past the beach, finally, there's a scene there where when they're fighting in the suits, and the movements of the suits, like he's sliding across the floor, and it's like, this doesn't feel physically possible. This seems like it's, what is propelling him to slide across the floor, and
you don't really see any blasts or any
it's like doing these unnatural movements.
Because it would be different if you saw
standing up and
kind of like if he was in like the Iron Man suit, you would see like a pulse that
there would be a reason.
Would then move that arm.
Exactly.
But you're not getting that in this. Yes, I did notice on that.
It's like on wires getting dragged around. It was not.
Which is, it's quite hilarious because how fantastic most of the aliens looked and the movements, and like it kind of does go to show that making something completely foreign to us is way easier to CGI than something that we know what physics kind of looks like.
They were in actual suits when they filmed the movie. That wasn't CGI, so they actually had to physically move them. So that is probably why it kind of looked a bit funny at times, because it
had to be a practical effect. Yeah.
Whereas if it was all CGI like Iron Man, no worries.
No worries. Yeah.
So that was.
Did you also read one of the trivia things that it was like, I think only like 2 minutes of the movie footage was not filmed in a studio?
Oh no, I didn't see that. No.
Yeah, it was like something like. Not all of that was green screen, but most of it was green screen and just sets. And I'm like, I didn't even pick up on that. I'm not going to lie. Like, there was a couple scenes where I completely picked up that it was green screen, like them driving in the car.
Yeah,
that scene, that is one of my, that's a negative for me.
I don't seem to notice those sort of things. You seem to notice that a lot.
Like the floating, like it doesn't seem right.
Yeah. I guess I wasn't paying attention to that scene.
Now, just that specific scene that I just want to touch on is that the alien in the caravan that they're towing, it just didn't look good.
Okay.
There was like shots and stuff, like when I'm looking at like you're seeing panels rip off the caravan and him like open it up and whatever, and it looked so like it was a toy. I don't know. I don't know if that's conveying what I'm saying.
Because the trailer also looked really, really light. Like it didn't seem around. Right. Like, you're right.
Now that could have all been because they may have needed to downscale it to get the footage.
And obviously that might be monster in the trailer. Like,
and obviously, But I think just like the alien movements were cool, but in that specific scene, the alien inside the caravan, I didn't buy any of it.
I see. There's bits and pieces like that.
Now, obviously, keep in mind that those bad CGI scenes are outweighed by the many excellent.
And the story,
many.
The story is what makes.
That's what carries
it. Makes any movie. You don't need to have great effects. You need to have a good
Although they
story.
help, but you're right. It's the story that's the thing. That's what's holding us there. All the extra stuff are just extras. They're not the thing why we're there.
The content is the important thing, not so much the extra fancy things, the content.
Which again, you go. Yep.
That's right. I was just going to say, like with the camera work and the acting and all that, everything was how it should be. I mean, I thought the acting was pretty good. I thought that was fantastic. What did you think?
No, on the acting note, I completely agree. I think we've done too good of a job at picking good movies recently. They've all been pretty believable. You know what I mean? Like you're on board with what the character's trying to. Yeah.
I don't really want to watch a movie that's shit, but yeah.
I know, but I know. I'm on that side too. I don't want to just have to, because then it will be a fucking chore to have to sit through.
So apart from the music at the credits, I thought the music was fine throughout. The camera work was fine. What do you think about the pacing? Do you think it was too long, too short, just right?
Just right. I
thought it was pretty good too.
I didn't think it was too long, and then when I finished, I realized it was a 2-hour movie. I didn't.
Yeah, I had got into 20 minutes into it, and I paused it to write a note. And I'm like, hang on, I thought I've only been watching for 5 minutes. It's been 20 already.
So that's a good sign, because you were into it. You were like, yeah. It really held your emotions.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I've got a couple of trivia notes. Why don't you do something now? Why don't you jump in?
Fine. Well, I mean, I'd already mentioned on the those. I've got 2 main scenes that I'm thinking of when it comes to the bad CGI. Obviously, the minivan and caravan. But there was another scene, but I'm not going to dwell on that. There was the chopper scene or whatever. It didn't seem right.
Oh, yeah.
But I more want to talk about just the alien movement. Again, I just can't get over how well they did it. It reminds me of that movie Life with that weird alien thing, how it moves wrong, but it's right, but it's wrong. You know,
it's a wrong right. It's
and it's kind of like with the Transformers, how you mentioned that before, but it's like how there's so many. When let's say Optimus Prime is transforming and you see the parts inside the shin, you know what I mean? You're seeing the car parts. And I love that with these aliens where it was ever flowing, ever moving, transforming parts. You can see it was items. Yeah. And yes, viscous, it was almost liquid because it was ever changing, but it was, I couldn't, it was so good.
Because I had pulses too, it would suddenly get bigger and smaller and
Yep. It had it's almost like it has a heartbeat and it needs that beat to be able to do the main movement.
Yeah. So wrong and...
wrong and right.
Wrong in such a good way. Wrong in all the best ways.
What do they say? What's that? The macabre. You know, when something's dark, but it's tickling a good spot in your brain. Not that you're enjoying it, but you're like, I need to know. I need to know.
It's it's gross, but it's right.
Yeah. Not that you're going to go and touch yourself with it afterwards, but it's right in the sense that it's like a puzzle. You've got to figure it out. You're like, why is this and what is this? And yeah. Now, what you got any trivia? What's your trivia?
I've just got a few things so it's 2014 movie. The filming started in 2012. So it's 2 years to bloody well. You don't realize how much time they put into some of these movies.
No.
Could you imagine a Marvel, Avengers movie? That would be how many years worth of work? It's just crazy. I seem to pump those out pretty quick now, but...
Well, I mean, again, with Marvel watering it down, Disney watering it down by not actually giving you a nice story. They're just giving you the fancy CGI around the exact same story for every single superhero. But you but it's... Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it feels watered down.
Warner Brothers spent just on advertising $100 million about just on advertising. So when you look
can you
at the
do
budget,
me the budget? What's the budget?
So the budget was $178 million, and I don't know if that's including the advertising. I would say not.
Well, if it doesn't, they spend more than half on advertising. But if that's included, then they spend. Wow, that's so. Imagine if that's included. They only spent 70 million.
78 on the so in the box office they made 370 million. So it's pretty good.
Fucking well done.
Pretty good. Done. That's a pretty high budget. So
I got a little tidbit here if you want it.
Yeah.
It's on that scene where, so like, you know, Emily Blunt, she's walking out and someone says, "Bloody hell, it's the Full Metal bitch." and she punches him.
Yes.
That is played by her real life brother who made a cameo in the movie. And I thought that was cool. I just jotted that down. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Cool
I wonder if she made that happen or...
Oh, come on, surely. She's like, no, imagine if she's like, "I'm not letting anyone call me a bitch unless it's my brother."
I'm like, all right, then that's happening.
Then that's what's happening,
yeah. She's a good actor though, don't you think?
I think she's excellent.
I can't remember.
Yeah, very emotional.
I've seen her in other movies. I just can't think what they are. But I'm pretty sure she was good in those too.
Quiet Place.
Quiet Place. Oh, yeah.
That's only... Why is that the only one coming to mind?
That's recent though, but yeah. I'm sure there's other stuff too. I just can't.
God damn it.
Yeah,
it's not coming on my mind. Oh, well.
So another note I have is... Oh, well, this is obvious. So the screenplay was adapted from the manga All You Need Is Kill, which was written by Hiroshi Sakurazaka.
Yeah, okay. Good luck. Say that 10 times fast.
Sakurazaka. And apparently there is going to be a sequel.
Adjustment Bureau. Sorry, that's another one she's in. Anyway.
Oh, yes, Adjustment Bureau. Sorry. Yes.
It just popped into my mind.
Apparently there is going to be a sequel to this movie and filming is set to start like next year or this year or something.
Okay,
so
that'd be cool.
That'd be cool. I don't know how they will continue it, but maybe the aliens come back again, or maybe the humans go and find the aliens. Ooh.
Maybe the aliens somehow revert back to prior.
Yeah.
Like before he fixed things.
I would like to see how they would do a sequel. I don't know if it would be as good, but I would like to see.
It's like I'm worried about going to see Doctor Strange 2. You know what I mean? Like, I'm worried. If it ever comes out, you're right. And if it actually is a good movie. But like the first one I enjoyed so thoroughly that if even the second one's a 7 out of 10, I'm probably going to be disappointed. You know what I mean? Like,
so let's do our ratings now. Are you ready for that?
Yeah. Let's go into it.
So the only thing that made me bring it down was the movements not looking when they're in that fight scene. The movements looking a bit janky and
I definitely. That's one of my things that I brought it down for too.
So
it's like just quickly, like you know how we said about it's awesome that the aliens seem so foreign, but it's so unacceptable to us that they seemed foreign too. You know what I mean? Like the movements. That's wrong. It's not right. They abide by our physics. You know. So it's very important.
So only for me I brought it down to I went 9 out of 10. That's what I gave it. Because all the other stuff made up for it.
That's what I did.
Yeah, all the other stuff made up for it, and it was just a fantastic story. It was all fantastic except for that one bit.
That I think because I put that in the same category as when I saw the minivan,
it was
like
all,
the caravan. I'm like,
there's
some of the CGI parts they just looked wrong. And now I'm not saying that those parts where he's battling are CGI, but they're touched up with CGI. You know what I mean? Like there's things around it. So that is the only thing that I brought the score down from a 10 to. So a 9 from me and a 9 from you too.
And that again, I think we are starting to get our rating schemes sort of on the same track.
I think so. Yeah, we're being more, at least, you know, everything's similar to each other.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there will be differences sometimes because things that'll annoy you that won't annoy me, or
and it'll be a bullshit fucking podcast if we agree on everything.
Yeah, that's right. So hopefully we have differences, but
yeah.
But I think it was well deserving of a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10 from both of us. Alrighty. All right. So shall we hop on to some paradoxes? I think that'd be a fun place. All right. I'm guessing this will be a bit of a quick topic, but it's still one we should talk about for sure. I'll open it up with just a quick, what the guy on Vsauce 2, he said a sentence which just explains what a paradox is.
Okay.
So a paradox is a problem where the solution is or is made to seem impossible.
Okay.
Which is like, I thought that was a nice, like, succinct bloody sentence there that narrows it down to what a paradox is. It either is or it seems impossible. And I think that's important, is there seems impossible, because old paradoxes, they were paradoxes to us previously, but when we were enlightened with some knowledge, they became possible.
Yeah. So the wiki says about the definition, they say a paradox is a logically self-contradictory statement or a statement that runs contrary to one's expectation. So I think that's exactly what
that's
you
a nice
said.
one. That is in a bit more fancy words.
Yeah.
But I think yours is more clear because it does give a bit more like understanding into it.
Clear, but okay.
No, it's kind of clear. Like, the paradox isn't clear. The definition is clear.
The words make sense, but the whole idea of a paradox is blows your mind.
The concept of a paradox isn't meant to make sense.
No, exactly.
But it does.
Also, in common usage, the word paradox often refers to statements that are ironic or unexpected, such as the paradox that standing is more tiring than walking. Oh, yeah. Is that a paradox? Standing is more tiring than walking. Apparently that's a
I don't like it.
ironic or unexpected statement.
All right. Well,
what do you got?
Well, we got I think we talked about it last time, but I got 3 different types of
So is this what
paradoxes.
is that? Is it, because I've got the 3 laws of paradox, and I've also got Queen's classification of paradoxes. You don't have any of that, mate.
I got William something Quine's 3 definitions for paradoxes.
Yep, I've got that too. Yeah, so do that. Yeah, do that one.
So I got there's the first one, which is the easiest to understand because they are wrong. They're not possible. They are completely wrong. They're falsidical, which is like if you imagine the impossible waterfall, where it keeps falling down the steps, but it keeps going infinitely into itself.
Yeah, the illusion.
They call it the Penrose triangle, which is like a triangle, like a 3D triangle that's bending in the wrong way, but it's attaching to itself. So it's kind of like an infinite loop.
So it's kind of like 1 = 2. Like that can't happen.
Yeah,
that's
just doesn't. Yeah. That's a falsidical paradox. That's not right.
Yeah, it says here though. I've got it under falsidical paradox. I've got the various invalid mathematical proofs. Example that 1 = 2 are classic examples of this, often relying on a hidden division by 0.
Yeah. Well, that's what they say. So what W.V. Quine said was a falsidical paradox packs a surprise, but it is seen as a false alarm when we solve the underlying fallacy. So fallacy, something is wrong in there. So once we figure out where the wrongness is, the whole thing falls apart. There's no reason to be surprised about it because we're not thinking of the actual thing that's wrong. We're seeing it outside of that.
Yes. And veridical can be proven. And
it only packs a punch because you're surprised at the outcome, but it is proven to be true. And then we've got antimony or antinomy. I don't know what you want to call that.
Yeah.
But if you translate that literally, it means against laws, which is this one is it highlights a serious logical incompatibility. So a good example is I am lying, or this statement is false. I
love that one. This statement is false.
Everything I say is a lie. They're all the I am lying paradox. They're all the same. Well, it's actually called the Epimenides paradox because he was the original guy that came up with it, the original philosopher. But I'm sure he probably said it in like way more words than that. It was like ipso facto menipso lucliminitso, some sort of ancient Greek or something. But yeah.
So, and also with words and stuff, they've got like long, the word long. The word itself isn't long, but it explains something that is long, Like,
it's counterintuitive. It's not, What do they say that? What's the one where words sound? The word that means a sound, but no. What do they call it? Monophonic or something?
Is that like? Are you saying like when you have like live and live? Is that what you're talking about? Or
no, it's more. It's when a word is pronounced the way that it sounds, but the word that means a word that is pronounced the way it sounds doesn't get pronounced the way it sounds. It's like it's a weird. Yeah. Anyway, I wish I had a better example. Sorry, guys. Fucking look it up yourselves.
Yeah, that's funny.
So we went over the first one, the 𝗘𝗱𝗴𝗲, which are the, impossible waterfalls.
Yes, I had
you got an example of that?
Yeah, the one that I highlighted here. Zeno's paradoxes. For example, the first one in the example is a flying arrow never reaches its target. I'm not quite sure how that's a paradox. A flying arrow never reaches its target. Don't quite get that one.
No, because a flying arrow never reaches its target.
Because it's always...
Because I'm almost like picturing it in a metaphorical sense.
Because the arrow is in the air. It has not yet reached the target. But once it reaches the target, it's not flying anymore.
It's no longer a flying arrow. Yeah, okay.
Is that what
okay. No, yeah, I think you've rationalized it. So it's like, it's just, because that is semantics. That is literal, that's actual wordplay. It is wordplay. Okay.
There's another one here. Or that a speedy runner cannot catch up to a tortoise with a small head start. So in a race, the quickest runner can never overtake the slowest because since the pursuer must first reach the point whence the pursued started. So once they reach where the turtle was, the turtle has now moved forward a bit. And then when they reach that point again, the turtle has moved again. So it seems like...
seems like I don't like that example. I don't like that. That just seems wrong because you're not aiming to where he was at the time of you starting to make the calculation. You're aiming to be where he is. So that calculation is ever changing.
I know,
and that's not taking that into consideration at all.
But in mathematics, it appears on paper that that's what would happen, but it's not. It's really weird.
Yeah, that's one I can almost I'm probably denying it too quickly, so it is probably very
on paper it looks stupid and it's impossible. But it is possible because that's not how it works. It's just the wrong outlook. It's like you got the wrong, like with the arrow, it's how you put the words together.
Yeah, it's a trick.
Yeah, it's like math's got lots of tricks. But have you got any examples of your own for 𝗘𝗱𝗴𝗲?
No, I just put the two simple ones. Then most 𝗘𝗱𝗴𝗲 paradoxes are either in language or in physical drawings because you're drawing like a 3D surface onto a flat surface, so it's already not a reality-based item.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah.
So back at the 𝗘𝗱𝗴𝗲 paradox.
Yeah.
One example I've got of that is the Monty Hall paradox.
And that's the only example I've got.
So, which from the outlook, it looks like a 50-50 chance, but in fact, it's biased. So it appears to be 50-50, but it's not.
But that's just because our minds aren't based to think like that. And once I got to explain it, because I was like, yeah, it is 50-50, but I was just saying it as an instinctual,
exactly.
I don't actually comprehend what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's the paradox really itself, is the fact that I'm not privy to every bit of information.
Yeah.
So I can think this is a paradox, but when you really get into it, you're like, oh, okay, no, this is actually a veridical. This makes sense. You can actually work your way out of it.
It's still confusing, but the math proves that it's not, and it's still confusing.
So essentially, what 𝗘𝗍𝗴𝗲 said was initially seems wrong, but is proven to be true.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a nice little, that's how you describe a veridical. It seems extremely wrong. You don't, no, that doesn't make sense. No, but it's because it kind of plays on your feelings of like, because your instincts are based one way, but you're not thinking about it logically.
So another one, a famous one, is Scrooge's cat. That is an example of that. Because like until you open the box, you don't know if the cat's dead or alive. Like,
and you'll never know. Okay.
Because it's the probability of an atom giving off radiation, like that might happen, it might not, like, and you can't know until you measure it. It's so weird.
That's the weirdest thing with radiation poisoning is that two people could be in the same room, been around the exact same item that was radioactive, but it shows symptoms 20 years later. You know what I mean? Like it's that's horrific.
That's the last one I had for vertical.
That's.
And Antinomy, what was that again? That has a couple of to do with English words and stuff.
Yeah, these are like, exactly. These are just, they're impossible statements, essentially.
I've got here a fourth kind. Did you have that?
I didn't have a fourth kind. What's that? What was that?
This is a fourth kind, which may be alternatively interpreted as a special case of the third kind, which is antinomy, I guess. And I've got an example here.
Yeah, what's the, how does that differentiate? Yeah.
A paradox that is both true and false at the same time and in the same sense is called a 𝗘𝗱𝗴𝗲.
Okay.
For example, to both affirm and deny that John is here when John is halfway through the door, but is self-contradictory simultaneously to either affirm and deny the event. So if you're standing halfway in the doorway, are you in here or are you not? You know, you're half in, half out. Where are you? Are you in or out? And that's the paradox.
That's another one of those logical, like
how do you interpret it?
It can't be true. It can't be false because the problem is retarded. You know what I mean? Like it's unapproachable. Like there's no way to solve that because the only way to say is no, he's in the door frame. Like, but that's not one of the options. You can't say that. It's he's either in or out. All right, so he's both. But you can't have both because you're one or the other. But all right, so he's the other. But if he's the other, then he's not out. So, but he's got his foot out. Like,
so now that we've explained them, do you want to go through? Do you have any other examples of paradoxes that you thought caught your attention or not? Because I've got a few I could go through.
Well, I wanted to touch on the one that everyone knows.
Yeah.
But I feel they don't understand it right. Like the grandfather paradox, right?
Yes, I think I've got that here.
Everyone thinks of it like, going back, kill your grandfather, and therefore, like, you kill him before he can, conceive his son.
Yeah.
So therefore, your dad's never born, but like that's not really like that really doesn't give you the right comprehension of the grandfather paradox, and it's because they called it the grandfather paradox.
Yeah,
okay. Like it shouldn't have been called that. It should have been something else. But it's catchy. That's why everyone kind of knows about it.
Because the premise is that if one travels back in time, kills their grandfather before he conceives one of their parents, which precludes their own conception. And therefore, they couldn't go back in time and kill their grandfather. So it's quite in depth, isn't it? It's like,
but
to comprehend it though is like.
So what it says here, well, I'll just quickly read it out. It says the grandfather paradox does not exclusively regard the contradiction of of killing one's own grandfather to prevent one's birth. Rather, the paradox regards to any action that alters the past, any contradiction whatsoever changes the future.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it's so much more broader than just killing your grandfather. It's stepping on that stone on the street, which then sent the stone out into the path of oncoming traffic, which made a guy tilt his steering wheel just a little bit. So therefore, now World War III is happening.
That's the butterfly effect.
That's essentially the butterfly effect, exactly. But I felt so many people don't comprehend that enough. They think it's just like killing your granddad.
Yeah, but like kicking that stone might have stopped you being born, but then because you wasn't born, you can't go back in time. Like, you know, because you're not born, you can't go back in time, so therefore you never could have gone back in time in the first place.
And the only solution to that really is that either if it is possible to go back in time, is that you don't go back in time, you go back in time into a separate reality, into another area, another thing.
And the time splits or whatever. Yep.
But then also you can logically explain yourself out of the let's say you go back in time, you kill your granddad doesn't have a child, and then so therefore you could never go back in time to kill your granddad, so your granddad could have a child, and therefore you are born, so then you can then go back and kill your granddad, so he never has a child, and therefore you can kind of go around that. Instead of looking at it one circle, you got to look at it like a figure eight, you know what I mean? Like,
so another example with the time travel there is 𝗘𝗱𝗴𝗲 paradox. A billiard ball can be thrown into a wormhole in such a way that it would emerge in the past and knock its incoming self out the way from going into the wormhole in the first place.
Okay.
Creating a variant of the grandfather paradox.
That is I like that example. Oh.
You know, it's true though. If wormholes send things back in time.
Yeah, not that we know that wormholes work like that, but like the idea of that.
It's another thing like why time travel can't exist. You know.
I like that. Yeah.
There's also another one about Hitler. Hitler's murder paradox. One can travel back in time and murder Adolf Hitler before he can instigate World War II and the Holocaust, but if he had never been instigated, then the murder removes any reason for the time travel.
Yeah, then you won't need to go back and kill this Hitler because Hitler never became the thing. I think obviously one we've touched on before is can an omnipotent being limit its own power? So can God lift a rock?
Yeah.
So a being that can do anything. That's what omnipotent means. He is a creator, a destroyer, it's everything.
So you've got here, there's also a movie called Predestination. Predestination paradox. So a man travels back in time to discover the cause of a famous fire. While in the building where the fire started, he knocks over a lantern, causing the fire. So in trying to investigate the fire, you're the one that caused the fire.
That's a loop, isn't it? That's a paradox. That's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You can't get out of it.
The same fire that would inspire him to go back in time and work out who did it in the first place. But you're stuck. It's crazy.
You got that like how to comprehend that. It's like trying to, like you said about Predestination movie, like it's like how, but no, it doesn't work. It's a loop. It's stuck.
Yeah.
You got any others?
Yeah,
there?
I've got one, not time travel, but I've got another one, which caught my attention was the question of whether the barber shaves himself in the barber paradox. So let me read the thing out.
I know this one.
A male barber shaves all and only those men who do not shave themselves. Does he shave himself?
Yeah, but if he shaves himself, then he doesn't because he
only shaves people that don't shave themselves. So once he shaves himself, he has shaved himself, so therefore he can't.
and if he gets his wife to shave himself, therefore he doesn't shave himself, so therefore he would be shaving himself.
God. Yeah. So, I like it.
I got just one little thing to wrap up this topic if you're happy to be there.
I got a couple more. I just want to... I've got one you would like about philosophy. I don't know if it's a paradox, but it's by Søren Kierkegaard. He's a person. But one must not think ill of the paradox, for the paradox is the passion of thought. And the thinker without the paradox is like the lover without a passion. A mediocre fellow.
I like that because, like,
it's the passion of thought.
Exactly. It's why we like puzzles. It's why we dig. You know, like you just need to know. Yeah, that's so cool. I like that. So I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah. So one more just here to do with real life paradoxes. So
okay, yeah.
In medicine, so a paradoxical reaction to a drug is the opposite of what one would expect. So becoming agitated by a sedative or sedated by a stimulant. These things happen in medicine, and it's weird. So they have stimulants they use to sedate people, and it's like counterintuitive.
Yeah, counterintuitive. I was about to say that to me is like them calling something that's counterintuitive. They're calling it a paradox.
Like ADHD, they treat that with a stimulant.
Yep.
Adderall or Ritalin, which is a stimulant, and you're treating someone who is overstimulated. So you'd think it'd make it worse, wouldn't you? But it doesn't.
Yeah, but based on the evidence, it doesn't. Yeah, okay. Okay. That's a Yep, all right. That individual, I get that as the paradox, but you explaining it to me, that's just something that's counterintuitive.
Yeah, but it does happen.
Applying a stimulant to someone who's too, stimulated, that in itself is like the paradox. It's like someone who's got, like, let's say they got hypoglycemia, which is low blood sugar levels. By then putting more sugar in it goes even lower. That doesn't make sense. Why would that have happened? They're meant to. That's their cue to go up. Yeah. And yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
That's right. Go.
No, I was about to say that leads me into the quote from that 𝗣𝗿𝗱𝗲 is one man's antimony is another's 𝗘𝗱𝗴𝗲 paradox, give or take a couple thousand years. So, like, a 𝗘𝗱𝗴𝗲 paradox is something that we don't understand. It's a false alarm. We can't figure it out.
Yeah.
But give or take a couple thousand years,
it
becomes the answer.
Yes.
Like you prove it. You can kind of. But it's because you don't understand it yet. You don't know all the underlying things. It's like just what you said there with the stimulant to the ADHD person. It's like we still don't know why it actually quietens their brain down. Yeah. We're not sure why.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're still abiding by it because it's the evidence that we've been given. And it may be in 1,000 years or 100, whatever, we'll actually understand the exact chemical makeup of that person's brain and figure out exactly why. But we're not there yet. That's 1,000 years away.
On a similar sort of thing, I got a couple of chemistry ones too. So there's a effect called hormesis. Exposure to small doses of toxins can have beneficial effects. So in large doses, it can kill you, but in small doses, it's okay.
Is that like that snake venom guy who keeps taking a little bit every day, and therefore it means that if he does get bitten, it's not actually going to get him?
There's a really awesome one here that I liked. It's called 𝗘𝗱𝗴𝗲 paradox.
Yeah, yep, go.
Diluted nitric acid will corrode steel, while concentrated nitric acid will not. So concentrated acid doesn't eat steel, but diluted will eat steel. How does that work?
That's so wrong. Yeah. Why does that work? Okay. So it's almost like, it's kind of like, when you mix up, let's say weed poison or whatever, you got to mix it in a specific ratio. Yeah. And I know there's even on top of that, there's some poisons that if you go overboard and you put way more in, it actually acts as a fertilizer.
Oh, wow.
And you're like, what the fuck?
I guess because it's reacting with more chemicals or it's creating a new compound because there's so much of it,
and therefore, because they're specifically with the weed killer, they're taking into consideration all the things that liquid is going to come into contact with. So let's say you spray it the right dilution on dirt, which dirt has many different things inside of it. Maybe if you do it at a higher concentrate and you spray on the same dirt, it creates this different chemical. Yeah.
So I've got one last one I want to mention.
Yep, let's go.
Astrophysics, faint young sun paradox.
I
don't know if you've heard this one, but
I have.
The contradiction between the existence of liquid water in early Earth and the expectation that the output of the young sun would have been insufficient to melt the ice. So when we had liquid water, the sun should not have been hot enough to have liquid water. Is basically the whole premise, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's also, there's a bit more than that. There's another one of it where they've found life in it.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why they knew that it was liquid at one stage.
Exactly, yes.
But there could not have been life if it was frozen, and the sun was not, as far as we know, not strong enough to have ever liquidated the frozen ice. So like it's a weird back and forth.
I guess one thing they're not taking into account, or are they, is that the Earth's core would have been hot too, not just the sun.
Yeah.
The Earth's core is hot as well. So maybe that combined was enough, or maybe a meteor struck the Earth, melted a pool of ice, and that's where the liquid water was, because only for a short time to make life, and then it froze again. Then the sun got hot enough and it melted, and then we discovered it.
Froze, and then okay.
Like, so many things we don't know, and that's all that it is, really, because we just don't know everything. We like to think
I was about to say, we're a bit up ourselves in that regard, and like we think we know exactly where everything is and what we're doing, and we believe that if we understand every single atom and all of its information, we'll be able to tell the future. But there's also a thing called randomness that you can't quite take into consideration.
Yeah.
We'll never, or at least we will never have the computing power to understand it.
I've got another one that's similar to that God one. You know, the God make a stone that he can't lift or whatever. It's similar to that. It's about a genie. So if a man talking to a genie wishes could not come true. So if the genie grants this wish, he did not grant his wish. And if the genie refuses to grant his wish, then he did grant his wish.
Yeah. That's like you're catching him. You're like, well, you got to do it now. But if I do it, then it's not.
Yeah, I wish that you cannot make wishes. It's so weird, isn't it? It's like just stupid. That's just stupid, that one.
Well, I mean, there's heaps of little, what are those, like riddles?
They're like little riddles, aren't they?
Like if you live in let's say you live in a one-story house made entirely of like redwood. Right? What color would the stairs be made out of? And you're like, what the fuck? I got no idea. Oh wait, he said it's a one-story house, didn't he? Fuck, I didn't think of that. God damn it. Yeah. And you're like thinking there, it's like let's say there's a rooster standing on top of a house, right? Right on the tip. You know, like how a roof reaches a peak? He's standing right on the peak, right there. Now lays an egg. Which side does the egg roll down? And you're like, what the fuck?
Neither.
Left or right? What do you mean? Oh, no, he's a rooster, you fucking idiot. Damn it.
So how do you think there was a paradox in the movie we just watched, Edge of Tomorrow? Do you think there's a paradox in there, or?
I'm guessing if we watched it way more closely, I'm sure we would have picked up on like continuity errors.
The only thing I can think of is you have, is it a causal loop? That's the time travel, is the causal loop. Is that a thing? Is that what it's got? Or is that not even that?
Well,
because the causal loop is...
But then what would the cause be? His death every time? Or would you call the original blood on him?
He doesn't get the blood every time, does he? So that would only work if you got the blood on him every time.
Yeah, because the causal loop is the going back to kill, like his predestination. That's what that is, isn't it? Yeah. It's a consistent closed thing. Yeah,
so it's almost a causal loop, but not quite.
Please, anyone listening, if you're way smarter than us, please explain to us if that is exactly what it is. We'd love someone else to go, guys, you got it all wrong. Just delete that episode. Yeah. Let me come on and we'll do it again. Yeah. Maybe not that bad. But.
So you said you had some closing thing?
No, I did it before. I wanted to do the 𝗘𝗱𝗴𝗲, like one man's antimony is another's 𝗘𝗱𝗴𝗲, because I thought that was a nice way to cap, like, you know, it's like veridical is nice because we can prove them. Like that's nice.
Yes.
Like it seems surprising, but it can be easily proven today. It can already be proven.
Yeah.
But going from an antimony to a 𝗘𝗱𝗴𝗲 is something that only time will help. And not just time, but experience, understanding, knowledge. It's comprehension, essentially. And I think that's the best way to wrap it up with all of Paradoxes. It is all about comprehension, isn't it? Yeah. It's like, did I read all the words correctly? Did I misread one of them? What did they tell me about it? It's literally, it's knowing what information is being passed on.
Exactly. All right. So I think that wraps that up.
Yeah.
Should we mention about, do you want to follow us on Facebook, etc.?
Yeah. Follow us on Facebook. Give us a like and subscribe wherever you listen, and even something that's super handy is rating us and reviewing us on iTunes. That gives us a lot.
Anywhere else you can do that, I guess. Can you do that?
Oh yeah, anywhere else. I'm only saying iTunes because obviously that's the major. That's the major one at the moment.
iTunes or Spotify.
Please give us send us a message on Anchor. I'd love to play the first one on the episode. That'd be sick.
Yeah, just write in, or even if you want to talk about anything else, whatever.
Yeah, suggestions,
or any
whatever.
Suggestions for future discussions or whatever. Yeah. All right.
Alrighty. Good talking to you, Stephen.
You too. See you next week.
Yeah. See you guys.